Oh boy. Oh boy.
How long will you be? I'll go lay back down.
Oh, like an hour or so.
Huh?
Like an hour or so. Oh my God. I think I like that framing. I think I like that. All right. Let's see what we got. I like this framing. Although one is gone. Yeah, I don't want this up here. This is annoying, distracting. This is a distraction. I like this framing. Although I see spiders. Let's see. The first night I stayed with an elder with dementia, she forgot who I was. accused me of breaking into her house, called the police, and tried to leave. By the end of the night, she looked at me and said, "You're still here?" Here's what that night and the week that followed taught me about caring for someone with dementia. First night I stayed overnight with an elder with dementia. She forgot who I was, accused me of breaking into the house, called the police, and tried to leave. The first night I stayed with an elder overnight, God, no, that ain't it. I'm gonna have to. The first time I stayed overnight with an elder with dementia, she forgot who I was, accused me of breaking in, called the police, and then tried to leave. By the end of that night, she looked at me and said, "You're still here?" Here's what that night and the week that followed taught me about caring for someone with dementia. Okay. The first night I stayed overnight with an elder with dementia, she forgot who I was, called the police, accused me of breaking in, and tried to leave. But by the end of the night, she looked at me and said, "You're still here." Here's what that night and the week that followed taught me about caring for someone with dementia. All right, I think I can do better than that. The first night I stayed overnight with an elder with dementia. She forgot who I was, or was. The first night I stayed with an elder, oh God. The first night I stayed overnight with an elder with dementia. She forgot who I was, accused me of breaking in, called the police, and tried to leave. But by the end of the night, she looked at me lovingly and said, "You're still here." Here's what that night and the rest of the week taught me about caring for someone with dementia. All right. Okay. Now, before we get into this, let's make something clear. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a dementia specialist. I'm a caregiver sharing my own personal experience. And I'm going to call her Miss Lucy because she deserves privacy and respect because I love Miss Lucy. Um, Over the course of 10 days, I came to really love and respect Miss Lucy. She is a sweetie pie. So this isn't medical advice. This is before you walk in to that house at 7 p.m., here's what I wish somebody would have told me. Because child, I learned some things. Before I get into this, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a dementia specialist. I'm a caretaker sharing my experience. So this is not medical advice. Now I'm changing the names a little bit because I want to protect her privacy. We're going to call her Miss Lucy. And over the course of 10 days, I came to love Miss Lucy. She's a sweetie pie. So before you walk into that house at 7 p.m., here's what I wish somebody would have told me. Because, child, I learned some things. Number one, recognition can turn. Number one, recognition can change fast. Now, when I walked in that house, Miss Lucy knew I was there. We talked for hours and hours and hours. She told me about her life and her work and her upbringing and all of that stuff. So 3 hours passed by. I finally helped her to the bed. And 40 minutes or so after she got in the bed, she started coughing very, very violently. So I wanted to give her some cough medicine. I offered it to her. And just like that, she was like, "Who are you?" And child, things went downhill from there. Police called, everything happened. Bada bam, bada bam. Oh, God. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. When I arrived at the evening, Miss Lucy knew I was there. We talked and talked and talked. We sat in the kitchen for hours. She told me about her life. She asked me questions. We had a perfectly normal evening. Okay. When I first arrived, Miss Lucy knew I was there. We talked and talked and talked and talked and talked, child. We went on for about 3 hours. She told me all about her life, asked me questions. It was a perfectly normal evening. Then I helped her to the bed around 10 o'clock. And about 40, 45 minutes after, she starts coughing violently. So I did as instructed. I offered her some cough medicine. And she looked me dead in my eye and was like, "Who are you?" And just like that, I learned that recognition does not mean it's going to last forever. They're not always going to know who you are, even if it was just 5 minutes later. And so the woman who had just had all of this conversation for me, now she was calling the police on me. And so, same woman, same house, same night, things changed. So that was something that I wasn't prepared for, but now I am. Okay. Shoot. Let me turn this on. Oh, God. I have to turn this on in between. No, don't throw my papers away. When I arrived that evening, when I arrived the first evening, Miss Lucy knew I was there. We talked and talked and talked. We said everything for about 3 hours. One of the biggest things I learned that week was don't assume that because somebody recognizes you now, they'll recognize you later. I saw it happen to me. It's used to be talking to the sweetest pie. I thought in there 10 minutes later, Papa, who is this woman? Okay. First biggest lesson I learned, just because somebody recognizes you now, doesn't mean they'll recognize you later. All right, let's try this again. When I when I arrived that first night, Miss Lucy knew I was there. We talked and talked and talked, child. We talked for about 3 hours. Sat in the kitchen. She told me all about her life, asked me some questions. It was beautiful. Around 10 p.m., I escorted her to the bed. 40, 45 minutes after she got in the bed, she started coughing violently. And as instructed, I offered her some cough medicine. She looked me dead in my face and was like, "Who are you?" And just like that, it went downhill, y'all. So that was my first biggest lesson. Just because someone with dementia recognizes you now doesn't mean they'll recognize you later. And that is something that you have to contend with, that I have to contend with. I saw it happen in 10 minutes. Miss Lucy was sweet as pie. "Oh, thank you, sweetheart." In the next minute, "Papa, who this woman in my house?" Same woman, same house, same night. Big lesson. All right. My first instinct was logical. Miss Lucy, remember me? We were just talking. Your son was here. He let me in. Baby, wrong answer. Because now not only am I a stranger in her house, I'm lying. She told me her son hadn't been there. She believed I come through the window, and no amount of but remember was going to manufacture memories she didn't have access to at the moment. Then I started to realize that my job wasn't to win an argument about what was real. My job was to help her feel safe. Now, after she didn't recognize me, my first instinct was to be logical. Miss Lucy, remember me? I was just here. We were in the kitchen talking. Your son let me in. Chef, that was the wrong answer because now not only am I a stranger in her house, I'm a lying stranger in her house. She accused me of coming through the window, of lying. And that's when I realized that trying to win an argument is not the way. What's important is helping keep her safe in that moment. You're not going to win an argument with someone who has dementia. I learned that the hard way. Keeping her safe, keeping them safe, that you can do. Now, of course, right after she couldn't recognize me, my first instinct was to be logical. But Miss Lucy, we were just talking. We had a lovely time. Remember? Your son let me in. Child, wrong answer. Because now not only am I a stranger in her house, I'm a lying stranger in her house. She told me her son had not been here, her son had not let me in, and in fact, I came in through the window. And child, again, it went more downhill. So that's when I realized it's not important to win the argument because you're not going to win an argument with someone with dementia. What my job was in that moment was to make sure she felt safe. And no amount of, but remember, was going to accomplish that. It was about me helping her feel like she was in a safe space. All right. At one point, Miss Lucy believed people were after her. My instinct could have been, nobody's after you, child. But that wasn't calming her down. So instead, I showed her security cameras. It's like, look, Miss Lucy, we can see all the way up and down the street. And she looked at me and now she could, she had something she could see. Later, she became afraid if somebody could burn down the house. Again, I showed her the camera. We can see the perimeter. We all know if somebody comes. Was I agreeing that somebody was actually coming after her? No. I was responding to the fear. Okay. You got to respond to the fear, not the facts. So at one point, Miss Lucy thought somebody was coming after her. And instead of saying, ain't nobody coming after you, Miss Lucy, I showed her the security cameras. And I said, see, there's no one out there. And if they come, we can see them. But then later, she thought someone was burning down the house. Again, I showed her the security cameras. I said, Miss Lucy, we can look out there. We see the perimeter. There's no one out there. But if someone comes, we can see them and we can call the police. So I realized that, again, it's not important to try to be logical and argue the facts and try to, no, you have to address the fear. Because in that moment, she was truly afraid. She forgot who I was and she thought someone was coming after her and she was afraid. So my job was to make her feel safe. That was the theme of the evening. Make her feel safe. Uh, just like arguing, you must respond to the fear, not the fact. Mm. just like not arguing, I realized that's important to respond to the fear, not the fact. At one point, Miss Lucy thought someone was coming after her. I didn't say, ain't nobody coming after you, Miss Lucy. I got the security camera and I said, see, there's no one out there. Then later, she thought someone was burning the house down. Again, I showed her the security camera. Miss Lucy, we can look far outside. And if someone is coming, we can see them. Was I agreeing with her that someone was after her or burning the house down? No. But what I was doing was responding to the fear that she really, truly felt. Responding to the fear and not the fact was a game changer. Okay. This was huge for me. During the first major episode, Miss Lucy ended up outside. The police came, paramedics came, everybody was trying to get her back inside. She wasn't having it. Eventually, her daughter suggested that I let Miss Lucy see my face. I'm like, child, me? I'm the one she called the police on, but I approached her slowly. Hi, Miss Lucy, let me see your eyes. You're safe. Do you mind if I put my hands on your knees? She allowed me to. Later, before moving her wheelchair, I told her I wanted to do it. I touched her, I waited. Explain what I'm doing before I do it. Because imagine being frightened and confused, surrounded by people and you don't recognize somebody suddenly starts grabbing you and moving your wheelchair. That could be terrifying. Whew. I learned this to be a big one. They're all big ones. Ask before you touch. Now, during Miss Lucy's first episode, it got bad, y'all. Police came, paramedics came, son came. She ended up outside. It was bad. We were trying to coax her back into her wheelchair. She wasn't having it. And then eventually her daughter was like, who was texting with me. This is another big one. They're all big ones. Ask before you touch. Now, during Miss Lucy's first episode, things got bad, y'all. She was outside, on the ground. The police came, the paramedics came. She would not get back in her wheelchair. Her son came. All us grown folk couldn't get this 80-something-year-old lady back into her wheelchair. And so her daughter was watching everything on a security camera, and she texted me and said, hey, you know, she recognizes your face. You were the person she was with when she had her episode. So you should go around and let her see your face and try to talk to her. And I'm like, me? Child, she the one. I'm the one. Oh God. Ah! Mess that up. Mess that up. This is a big one. Ask before you touch. Now, during that first major episode, things got bad, child. Miss Lucy ended up outside, on the ground. The paramedics came, the police came, her son came. But all us grown folk could not coax her back in her wheelchair or back in the house. So we were going back and forth for a long time. Her daughter was watching everything through the security camera, and she texted me and said, you were the last person she saw before her episode. So she needs to see your face. I'm like, me? I'm the one she called the police on. But I followed the instructions and the advice, and I ran around and I said, Miss Lucy, let me see those big, beautiful eyes of yours. And I said, can I put my hand on your knee? And she was like, I don't care. So I put my hands on her knee and I looked her in her eyes and I said, you are safe. You are safe. And then later, once we talked her into the front porch, I asked her if I could touch her wheelchair to test and see if she would allow me to bring her into the house. So I said, Miss Lucy, can I touch your wheelchair? She said, I don't care. And so I realized that she was, coming down. But I learned that it was so important to ask for her permission to touch any part of her body or her chair. Because imagine being afraid and confused, surrounded by all of these people, and then someone's touching you? No, you have to ask for permission. And that was a big lesson that I learned. Okay. Child, I can relate to this one myself. And I don't have dementia. But too many voices can be too much. Too many voices can be too much. At one point, you had the paramedics, you had the police officer, you had her son, you had me, all these people talking, 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 talking. And it was just confusing Miss Lucy even more. And so, like everybody, just one voice, one calm voice, one reassuring voice. Now, again, this was Miss Lucy. It could be different for someone else with dementia, but for Miss Lucy, one person one person talking at a time was vital. Too many voices, too much keeps the confusion going. One voice, one calm voice could help de-escalate. That was a big lesson for me. These are all big lessons for me. The little things were sometimes the big things. You know what helped me calm Miss Lucy? Not some profound speech. Sometimes a tissue. She was crying. I gave her a tissue. She was coughing. I gave her a cough drop. She took it. The daughter suggested reminding her about her one blanket. Another part, it was her newspaper and her glasses. After hours of confusion, police and agitation, Miss Lucy got a newspaper and her glasses. Mm. Oh, sometimes it's the little things that can make the big difference. Not this big, profound speech, not begging and pleading. One time it was a tissue. She was crying. I offered her a tissue. She started coughing. I offered her cough medicine. She declined, but I offered her a Ricola. She loves those. She took it and she started calming down. Another night, it was her newspaper and her glasses. So after all of the confusion, the agitation, the anger, the fear, her glasses and a newspaper helped calm her down. And child, at 4:45 in the morning, that newspaper might as well have ascended down from heaven. Because descended from heaven. Descended down from heaven. Yes, because it was a gift to my sleep. Oh, God. Ooh, learn their routine and pay attention when it changes. Now, one day, Miss Lucy's routine had changed. Her day person couldn't be there. Ugh, hold on, I need to. Learn their patterns and pay attention when it changes. Oh, let's try that again, Sam. Learn their routine and pay attention when it changes. So one day, Miss Lucy's day person couldn't arrive at the time that she normally did, so someone else stepped in. And when Miss Lucy arose from her sleep, she was confused and startled, even though it was someone that she knew very well. It was her sister. And so that was a whole big thing. She called the police 3 times and she was super agitated, and it was just a lot. In the pit of my stomach, I thought that when I got there that evening, things may go awry. But actually, everything was great. We listened to gospel music. We talked and talked and talked for 3 hours like we had that first night. But when I put her in the bed, like that first night, and she got up somewhere later on in the evening, she didn't know who I was. And y'all know what happened. The police came again. But did that incident or did that change in her routine definitely make this happen? I can't answer that. But what I do know is that it made me start to pay attention to her patterns and when things change and to make sure that as much as possible that I can keep things exactly the same. And that would be a comfort to her. Because one thing I've learned about elders, and not just elders with dementia, elders love routine. They love routine. And so I can imagine that someone with dementia, that a routine would be even more important. Again, I'm not a doctor or a dementia specialist, but this is just in my observation. Okay, I'm almost finished. Let me see, but I have to delete some things because I have too much. All right, let me see how much I can get out of this. Calm doesn't necessarily mean it's over. This one, Miss Lucy could have had an episode. Calm down, talk to me now, give me a pressure in another room. Then it's like, who is that woman? One night I went to the back room and locked the door. Miss Lucy came down. How would she stop pulling the door? Who is that? Who are you? I stayed really quiet. Bitch, she rose away. My daughter was watching the camera and text me. And I'm like, y'all. Ooh, this is a big one. Don't assume that calm means it's over. Do not assume that. I learned that the very hard way, just like I learned everything else. One moment, I got Miss Lucy calm. She had given me permission to go in her room. She gave me permission to help her in the bed. All the things. No, that's not right. Oh, yes, I learned this the hard way, like everything else. Don't assume calm means everything is over. This is a big one. I had gotten Miss Lucy to a calm state. She was not as agitated. She gave me permission to talk to her, to walk in her room, to touch her, to give her a tissue, to give her. Why did I mess that up, child? Okay, another big one. Calm does not mean necessarily that it's over. And yes, I learned this the hard way. So at one point, I got Miss Lucy in a calm state. She had given me permission to come in her room, to talk to her. I handed her another Ricola. Everything was fine. Told her I was going to stay in the back room. And 10 minutes later, I came back into her room just to make sure one last time that she was okay. And child, she looked at me dead in my face and said, "Who are you?" This is 10 minutes later, y'all. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Again. I was like, this was after the police had already been there. So I went to the back room, I locked myself in there, and I just stayed. Miss Lucy rolled in there in her wheelchair. She starts banging on the door. She starts pulling at it. Her daughter is looking at everything through the security camera, and she's texting me while it's all going on. And y'all, I knew in my mind that I was okay. I was not in danger. But my stomach said, ma'am, we are in the middle of a horror movie. Okay? Stay calm. Do not breathe. Turn off all the lights. That is exactly what I did. But I learned that calm does not mean it's necessarily over. And you just really, really, really just have to be careful and pay attention to everything you say and everything you do until you really feel like it's over. And I mean, the episode is over. Big lesson. Okay. Don't know if I like that one, but let me see. Okay. What's this last one? Have an emergency plan before you need it. I mean, it'd be as far as everything. If you're going to be alone, care for someone, especially overnight, have an emergency plan before the family. What happens if the emergency response? So my first night was in the at that point, trying to get outside. I want to help. Here's something else I want to help arise, stay calm yourself. Come to the hospital, run out of the elder. Okay. Well, this is a long one. This is a long one. All right. This might be. I'm trying to say, if you're going to be alone, care for someone with dementia, especially overnight, have an emergency plan. Oof. This is a big one. Have an emergency plan in place before you start elder sitting. The first night, as I said, the police showed up. The alarm went off. Miss Lucy is screaming to the top of her lungs outside into the abyss. It felt like that she was in danger. She didn't know me. She was in trouble. I was harming her. And so imagine the police coming and they're seeing you, and this person is telling them they're in danger. It's important to remain calm. When the alarm went off, because Miss Lucy opened the door and the monitoring service came on, I said, "I'm elder sitting. She has dementia. Yes, please send help." And so right there, I was telling them what was going on. So fortunately, that first officer that arrived, he was familiar with Miss Lucy. He had been to the house before. He had helped her back in her bed when she had fallen. And so I messed that up. I messed that up, y'all. I messed that up. 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 This is probably the hugest one of all. Have an emergency plan in place before you start elder sitting. So that first night, as I said, the police were called. Miss Lucy had walked out of the door, so the alarm system sounded. Everything was going wrong. When the monitoring service came on, I explained to them calmly, "I'm elder sitting. She has dementia and she's having an episode. Yes, please send help." So that at least let them know that something was going on and they could relay that to the police. When the officer arrived, he was familiar with Miss Lucy, fortunately. He had been to the house before. He had helped her back in her bed when she had fallen. Now, did that help calm her down? No, because she was in the middle of an episode. But at least that officer knew that I was harmless, right? Now, the next time that Miss Lucy had an episode, three officers came and they were not familiar with Miss Lucy. And that made me feel uneasy because again she's saying that she doesn't know me, this woman is in the house, that I'm harming her. And so I realized it's important to remain calm. I explained who I was, that I was elder sitting, that her daughter was away, that I could get her daughter on the phone if they wanted me to, which I did. And so imagine, the cops walking in and thinking that at first that I am a danger to this woman. That's a pressure cooker. So I felt like I had to de escalate my own self and not, so I controlled my breathing. I did all the things. And so they did contact her daughter and, everything was okay. Although one of the officers did say, "Ma'am, you have dementia," which never tell a person that with dementia that they have dementia. "Ma'am, you have dementia and you're having a hard time remembering things." Yeah, no, not the thing. But in all seriousness, that just made me realize that it's important to have an emergency plan. So, what are the questions? Who should I contact? Who are the first 5 people that I should contact on the list, right? What will happen if she opens the door? What happens if the alarm goes off? What happens if? Always ask what happens if. What happens if? If you are elder sitting with someone and their loved one says, "Oh, she never does that," or "This never happens," I'm always thinking, no, we have to think ahead of, but what if it does happen? How can I keep her safe? And how can I stay safe? And so that's one thing I learned, because when you are the caretaker, like I am a caretaker for my grandmother, there are some things that are just normal that may not, that's never happened to you. But when you put a strange person in the mix, that could change things. So I realized that it's important to try to ask all the questions that I could possibly ask up front. You're not going to get all the questions in, but the big ones, try to think ahead. What if? What if? What if? Oh my God. Oh, like everything else, this is a big one. Sudden changes deserve attention. Now, I felt like Miss Lucy's episode that first night with me was so significant. Like, of course, I'd never sat with her before, but I wondered if something else could be going on. Again, I didn't diagnose her. I'm not a doctor, but I asked her daughter to check into it again because I am an elder sitter or a caretaker for my grandmother. Some things that I noticed that happens with her, I was noticing with Miss Lucy. So just because a person has dementia, you can't always just say, "Oh well, she has dementia and that's what it is." I think it's important to check into everything. If it seems different, like I said earlier, notice those patterns, and if something changes, it's worth checking into. Oh, what do I remember most about this? Yes, of course, police being called is not fun. But what I really remember is that first night. It was bad, y'all. It was bad, bad. But Miss Lucy, after calling the police on me, looked at me later and said, "Are you going to stay with me?" She just wanted to feel safe. And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I will not leave you." I helped her back in bed. I rubbed ointment on her knees. And she said, "Oh, this feels so good." She just wanted to feel safe. And I realized that, dang, y'all, I'm almost there. Okay, one of these videos got to go. I gotta almost finished. Come on, phone. Ooh, what do I remember most? Yes, that first night was bad, bad, child. It was bad. But what I remember is that even after calling the police on me, even after getting so upset, Miss Lucy really just wanted to know if I was going to be there with her, if I was going to leave her by herself. This woman who had just been so aggravated just wanted to be comforted. And that's what I did. I rubbed her knees with ointment. I helped her back in bed. I made sure that she was tucked in. And she just looked at me and said, "Thank you, baby. Thank you for staying with me." And that warms my heart. And so while the week may have been challenging, I would go and stay with Miss Lucy again. A, because I have a heart for elders, but she just wants to be comforted, wants to be heard, and I did those things. And so now I just know that in closing, I say, if you're going to sit with someone with dementia for the first time, if your loved one has dementia and it's all new to you, hopefully you can learn some things from my experience. As I said, I'm not a doctor or a specialist. Oh God, doggone it, doggone it. I hopefully. So if this is your first time sitting with someone with if this is your first time sitting with someone with dementia, if your loved one has dementia and it's all new to you, I hope that my experience has helped you. Again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, I'm just a caretaker and a human being with compassion for elders. But just remember, have an emergency. Remember that calm does not always mean it's over. Remember just to don't argue with them. Don't argue. That's a big one. Don't argue and try to get them to remember. There's just so many things. All the things that I said here today are super important. They want to feel safe. And sometimes that is the question beneath all of the frenzy. Am I safe? Are you going to stay with me? And take care of yourself. Because, child, it's a lot. It's a lot. I know it. Whew. So if this is your first time caring for someone with So if this is your first time caring for someone with dementia, I hope that my experience can help you. Again, I'm not a doc. Again, I'm not a doctor or a specialist. I am just a caretaker and a human being with compassion for the elders. I think we should have more compassion for that demographic in this society. Um, just remember the things that I said today. Have an emergency plan. Stay calm. Don't try to argue. That's a big one. Don't try to argue. You're not going to win an argument with a person with dementia or an elder. I learned that the hard way with my grandma. You can't win an argument with an elder. Um, but just know that underneath it all, underneath the episode, underneath the confusion, is really probably just the question: am I safe? Are you going to keep me safe? That's it. That's what they want to know. And remember to take care of yourself. Caretaking is not for the faint at heart. And child, I know it's a lot, but you got to take care of you first. Because if you don't take care of you, then you won't be any good to your person that you're caring for. All right. Bye. I'm going to try that one more time. So if this is your first time caring for someone, with dementia, I hope that my experience can help you. Again, I'm not a doctor or a specialist. I am just a caretaker, a human being who really has a heart and compassion for the elders. I feel like in the society we need to have more compassion for that community. And if you're sitting, remember the things we spoke about. Have an emergency plan. Stay calm. Stay calm, stay calm, stay calm. Do not argue. That is big. You're never going to win an argument with a person with dementia or an elder. I learned that the hard way with my grandmother. You're not going to win an argument. And when help arrives, if it's law enforcement or if it's the paramedics, just remain calm, because you're probably going to be the one person in that room with the most context. Damn it, Tracee. You know what? So if this is your first time caring for someone. Oh no, I had this. Is your first time caring I didn't know I had this on. I hope that my experience can help. So if this is your first time caring. Ooh, what? Lord have mercy. I did not realize I had that fan on. Oh, now the guys out there cutting. Let me see if I can get this in. So if this is your first time caring for someone with dementia, I hope that my experience can help you. Again, I'm not. So if this is your first time caring for someone with dementia, I hope that my experience can help you. Remember, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, I'm just a caretaker. I'm just a human being who has a compassion and a heart for the elderly. We need more of that in this society. We need more compassion for the elders. But remember the things that we spoke about. Have an emergency plan. Stay calm. Do not argue. That's the big one. You're not going to win an argument with a person with dementia, and you definitely ain't going to win one with an elder. I learned that the hard way with my grandma. You are the person with the most context, the most knowledge at that moment. So when help arrives, whether it's the paramedics, whether it's law enforcement, stay calm, tell them exactly who you are, exactly what's going on, and everything will hopefully be okay. In the end, the elder just wants to know that they feel safe. That's what I discovered. Are you going to stay with me? Am I okay? That's what I really, really discovered. Am I okay? Am I safe? And also, take care of yourself. Because caretaker job is a lot. It ain't for the faint of heart. Take care of yourself. Because if you don't, you won't be able to take care of your elder. All right, y'all. Mm. So if this is your first time caring for someone with dementia, I hope that my experience could bring some help to you. Remember, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a specialist. I'm just a caretaker or a human being with a compassionate heart for the elders. I think we need more of that in this society. But just remember some of the things we spoke about. Have an emergency plan, stay calm when the episode arrives, do not argue. You're not going to win an argument with the person with dementia. You definitely ain't going to win an argument with an elder. I learned the hard way with my grandma. And when help arrives, and when help arrives, whether it's law enforcement, paramedics, whomever it is, remember you're the person in the room with probably the most context to the situation. So just stay calm. Tell them exactly who you are, exactly what's happening, and hopefully everything will be okay. I learned that underneath the episode, the question that was there for Miss Lucy was, am I safe? Am I okay? Are you going to stay with me? That's what I realized. That's what she wanted to know, if she was going to be okay. And another thing that I've discovered during caretaking, you got to take care of yourself. Because, child, it could be a lot. Caretaking is not for the faint at heart, but it's such a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, happy caretaking to you. And why don't you go ahead and click that next video and find out how the experience really went from start to finish. I break it all down. I break it all down. Woo! I think I'm finished. I think I am finished, y'all. Uh-oh. I think I am finished. I hope I'm finished anyway. I think I'm finished. And if I'm not, I'm gonna have to be finished because the house has awakened and it's no longer quiet. So I'm gonna have to just not try to be perfect. I'm always trying to get things perfect, and sometimes you just gotta. So now I need to transfer this so that I don't lose it. Now I'm gonna transfer this video. Transfer the video. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Oh, I need to turn this fan around. I need to turn this fan around. Yeah, I'm sorry for the fan, but sister is hot. Hot. Don't have any air conditioning back here. Mm-mm-mm-mm. All right, I also learned the hard way that you need to immediately save your work on an external hard drive. Because if you don't, you will be sorry. So, this is me saving my work on an external hard drive. All right, let me see what's up. This is not the one I want to save it on. I want to save it on this one. I want to save it on this one. Oh, somebody's calling me. Let me see who this is. What is it? All right. I think I need to save what I had yesterday too. Did not save that stuff. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Allow. Allow. Transferring my things. What's up? What's up? Okay. Oops, sorry. Yeah, this thing is. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm looking for today. Today is the 20th. So what we're gonna call this, y'all? What are we going to call this? We are going to call this Caring for Dementia. New folder. I'm gonna call this no. right, I have transferred. Now I need to, I should transfer the stuff that I did the other day because I don't even think I transferred that stuff. Okay, 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 okay. Uh, 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 uh. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Oh God, I hope that didn't. Let's see if this is all. I feel good about myself. I did a video, y'all. I did a long form video today. I never do long form video. I don't say never, but I rarely do long form videos, so it's a lot of work. So I did a video yesterday, a short. So this is all getting ready for my October 15th season premiere. All new content coming at ya. I'm filming it now. I'm stacking it. I was bitten by something yesterday. I hope it's not something that's going to make me sick later. But it definitely hurts. Okay. Now I should do yesterday's. Yesterday was different. Something's off. What are we calling that? All right, so now that was last night. And we're gonna put that in there. I don't even think I did the stuff from the other day. What is that? Must be the 11th. Yep, I was right. Okay, we're calling this well, this is a word time, actually. Which is correct. Oh no, I put this in the wrong thing. All right, I've now saved my. I've now saved my all the stuff that I did today. Always save your work. External hard drive. Always save your work. Or you will be in tears later. You could be in tears later if it gets deleted. I learned that. I learned that the very hard way. Not cute when your stuff gets deleted. Not remotely cute.
$70 for Jane. I couldn't find the checkbook.
Oh, it's right. Hold on.
You gotta write it out.
No, here, I'm gonna give it to you. You can write it out. I'm about to give it to you right now. Da, 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 da. All right, let me find my headphones. That's gonna be on it twice. Hi everyone. I'm editing a video I just shot. Wait a minute. I did this one already. I did it twice. Oh shoot. Shot. Oh. Hold up. Hold up. Let me see if I did this again. Yep, I did that over, guys. That's why I like to delete stuff. Delete text that you don't keep. Oh, y'all, I need an editor. Oh, y'all, I need to be able to pay an editor. This is the part right here. That takes the most amount of time. Well, it takes the most amount of time, but yeah, it takes it. Hello.
Hello. Are you viewing your own self on the video?
Do y'all hear this lady in here talking to me? I do not. I do not know her. She just walked in here unannounced. I must call the police.
Call the police. Call. And the people say,
Call the police.
Who gives a darn?
Call the police. Okay. Oh no! I just did all that for nothing. See? Y'all. Oh my god. Okay, I think I did this one twice too. Let's see. Okay. No. All right, I think I gotta go help my grandma up. I'm gonna have to finish editing later. I'm going to finish editing this today. So, I shall return. I shall return. I should just do all my editing today. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'll be back, y'all. I'll be back. Bye.